Assalamualaikum Mbak Erni.
Waalaikumsalam Mbak Yuyun.
Gimana kabarnya Mbak? Sehat?
Sehat, Alhamdulillah. Semoga saya co-host ya.
Siap. Saya sambil nyoba
Audio
lagu
ya.
Soraya, ya
Oke
Mbak.
Mbak. Monggo Mbak, silahkan. Sebentar, ini tadi saya tuh udah masuk tapi ternyata pakai Zoom-nya UGM. Jadi saya harus sign
Siap.
out dulu. Sudah bisa
Halo,
share Mbak? Mbak Lulu,
halo.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Mbak Yuyun
Mbak.
hari nyoba ini Mbak, nyoba audio.
Oh iya, oke.
Iya.
Eh, ini
Bentar
ono sing
izin ya Mbak
wis
Lulu.
waiting room.
Iya.
Oh,
Oh, dicatat kui yang pertama berarti Mbak.
Melvina, juga pulpen.
Ora tak apa-apa, tak catetin apa-apa.
Oh iya, ya kita
Aman-aman.
gitu kan. Tapi
Yuk, ayo.
kita nanti mengawasi ya dia sampai the end enggak gitu.
Oke. Belum keluar suaranya Mbak Yuyun.
Belum ada suaranya, Mbak.
Aman ya Mbak Lulu?
Belum ada
Belum
suaranya.
ada suaranya Mbak.
Oh, padahal sudah. Oh, bentar, sebentar.
Sudah share sound belum Mbak?
Bagaimana Mbak? Sudah?
Shall we begin, Bu?
Yes, Mbak. Please.
Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah,
wabarakatuh.
yeah. And warm greeting to all attendants. Welcome to the ESP sharing session number 14, proudly organized by the Indonesian ESP teachers community. I'm Istiqomah Nurrahmawati from UIN Raden Intan Lampung, will be your master of ceremony for this exciting and insightful event. It is such a pleasure to have all of you join us here today on Zoom, and thank you for making time to be part of this collaborative and inspiring session. Before we begin, let's take a moment to express gratitude to the Almighty for the blessings that have allowed us to gather virtually today. And of course, a big shout out to the incredible organizing committee for their dedication in bringing this event to life. So let's give them a virtual round of applause. So, Bapak Ibu, before diving into today's session, let me give you a glimpse of the exciting agenda we have prepared for you. Instead of just listing it out, let's imagine the flow of today's session as a journey. We will start by setting the tone with the Indonesian national anthem, a beautiful moment to reflect on our unity and shared purpose. And the next will be welcomed by inspired word from Dr. Lulu Iswati S.Pd M.Hum, who will represent the ESP teachers community. Then we will meet our two amazing speakers introduced by our moderator, Pak Herida Panji Olivia Azhar M.Pd, a skill guide who will ensure we navigate through the insightful presentation smoothly. Dr. Kiky Soraya S.Pd M.Pd will start the session by introducing us to CATTy, an innovative ESP speaking online course model. And afterward, Mr. Pak Ikhwan Fadqur Rohqim M.Pd will share his insight on reflective teaching for identity construction, insights and models for ESP teaching in higher education context. Wow, isn't that exciting? So to wrap up, there will be a lively Q&A session to exchange ideas and engage in meaningful discussion, followed by announcements, and finally the closing. So sit back, take notes, and be ready to learn and grow. Now, let us honor our beloved country by singing the Indonesian national anthem. Please make sure your microphones are muted, and let's sing together in spirit from wherever we are. Okay, thank you everyone. And now let's capture this moment together with a virtual photo session. Please turn on your camera if possible and show us your brightest smiles. The committee will count down before it starts.
Okay, Bapak and Ibu, allow me to take a screenshot of all attendee today. First screen. Second screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mbak Isti.
Thank you, Bu. Now, to officially begin today's session, it is my honor to invite Dr. Lulu Iswati, S.Pd M.Hum, to deliver the welcome speech as the representative of the ESP teachers community. Bu Lulu, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Isti. Assalamualaikum. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. It's a true pleasure to welcome all of you to this sharing session. We are now in sharing session number 14, organized by the Indonesian ESP teachers community. This community has always been a place for us to connect, to learn, and to grow together. Whether you have been with us from the start or this is your first time joining, we are so happy to welcome you right now. Today is all about exchanging ideas, sharing experiences, and inspiring one another to create even greater impact in our classrooms. Then I'm especially grateful for the voluntary participation of our speakers today, Mas Ikhwan Fadqur M.Pd, who is currently pursuing his doctoral degree at Pázmány, Péter Catholic University of Hungary. Hello, Mas Ikhwan. Thank you for being committed to taking part in this event during this unusual time. I know it's 3:30 a.m. there in Hungary. I don't know whether to call you an early bird or a night owl. Also to Dr. Kiky Soraya from Bina University. Thanks a lot for directly saying yes when we contacted you to become one of the presenters. Okay, and then of course, which is also important for the voluntary roles of our moderator today, Mas Herida, Panji, Olivia, Azhar, M.Pd from CATTy Yogyakarta, and today's Master of Ceremony, Miss Istiqomah Nur Rahmawati, M.Pd from Universitas Islam Negeri Raden Intan Lampung. Thanks a lot. Bapak Ibu, I hope we can make the most from what our presenters are going to share with us today, as I believe that there are always some takeaway points to ponder and learn. Let's make today's sharing session meaningful and fruitful. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Lulu, for your inspiring and encouraging words. Your dedication to advancing ESP education truly motivates to all. Before we move on to the main session, I'd like to share a few quick announcements. During the session, kindly keep your microphones muted to avoid any distraction. And then after that, feel free to drop your question in the chat box during the presentation. They will be addressed during the Q&A session later. And then the last, remember to claim your SE certificate exclusively available for members of the Indonesian ESP teachers community. With that, I now hand over the virtual stage to our wonderful moderator, Pak Herida, Panji, Olivia, Azhar, M.Pd, who will guide us through the rest of the event. Pak Herida, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Istiqomah, for the floor. But before that, I'm sorry, everybody, I cannot show my good-looking face to you. Unfortunately, you cannot see me because my camera is broken down, so only showing my virtual background. But thank you for joining us today, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this sharing session. And my name is Herida Panji. Olivia Azhar. I'm from Sekolah Tinggi Teknologi Kedirgantaraan Yogyakarta, and I'll be your moderator for this event. And today we are fortunate that we have two distinguished speakers who will share their insights on approaches and topics about ESP teaching. Our first speaker is Dr. Kiky Soraya, M.Pd from Universitas Bina, Nusantara. She will be presenting CATTy, an ESP speaker online course model, and she is also my senior in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Good morning, Ibu Kiky. Thank you for your advice. Before previously about studying doctoral degree. And our second speaker is Bapak Ikhwan Fadqur Rohqim, M.Pd from Pázmány Péter Catholic University. Is it the correct pronunciation, Bapak, about your university? And from Budapest, and he is also from STIKES Widyagama, Husada, Malang. He will discuss reflective teaching for identity construction inside and models for ESP teaching in Indonesian higher education context. All right. Later, each speaker will have 30 minutes to present the topic, and after both presentation, we will have a question and answer session. So please feel free to note your questions, and then you can share them later. And now let's welcome our first speaker, Dr. Kiky Soraya, to share their perspective. Ibu Kiky, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Bapak. A moment, I will try to share my screen. Okay, is it clear for the screen sharing, Bapak-Bapak and Ibu?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Well, thank you for the chance to share my experience or actually this is part of my dissertation project or results, and today I'm really happy to share about one of my model that I have just previously completed. This is a CATTy or CATTy model. This is an ESP speaking online course model, and I will start with the informations about why this model is important nowadays, especially in the ESP context. Okay, this is the first information about why this model is really important for us. Wait a moment. I think there is a problem with. Yeah. Yeah. Well, in this disruptive world, of course, we know that we are now working with many changing of technology, and of course, English is still important in today's what we call era. And strong English communication is needed, particularly in the field of ESP. Why ESP is important? Because later, our students or what we call as our learners will have like opportunity to build to be a professional, and they should work also in their work field later. They will use English not only as the academic skills, but also for the working skills. And students with strong ESP or English in a specific purposes is of course better in the preparation of the to get or to raise to kind of getting success in this global changing world. And then mastering English skills nowadays, of course, is still kind of having like challenges, especially in the speaking. Why? Because we know that Indonesian students, starting from the early until the higher education students, commonly they are struggle also with the way to perform the English, especially in speaking. It is due to some of the linguistic and non-linguistic problems. Linguistic problems, of course, related to the fluency, to the accuracy, and the non-linguistics, it can be related to motivations, anxiety, mostly anxiety, and how they can confidently speak in front of the people. And from that problems, I try to find what is the best way to help our students to be better prepared, especially in the speaking environments or speaking skills. Yes, and I found that now we are in the technological era. We have like a lot of good or a lot of best practices in online courses. And nowadays, many universities also implement this kind of online courses, not only because of pandemic, but of course, after pandemic, we are, a lot of university and many educational field in Indonesia using online courses. And I think these online courses can help our students to improve their speaking. After that, I think about what kind of model that is good to improve their speaking skills. And we found that we have 3 presences that should be appear in the online course model. That is cognitive, social presence, and teaching presence. However, it's not enough. We still have problem with how to create the online courses, the good online courses. Therefore, from the information that I gathered from the literature review, I developed one of the model, especially for ESP field. The skill is for speaking, and it is in the form of online course, fully online course. The name is CATTy model, or sometimes people just call it CATTy model, but it's okay to just call it CATTy model. What is CATTy model actually? It is inspired by Garrison et al. Actually. In the model that is proposed by Garrison's, we call it community of inquiry. It means that they are, means like the Garrisons and Arbach at that time show that 3 important presents should appear in the online course. Those are cognitive, and then social presence, and teaching presence. However, from my findings from the literature review and also the needs of today's model, I don't think that those 3 are enough, especially with the development of technology. Then there is something that should be added in that model. I mentioned it as CATTy, in which we have cognitive still, and then we have affective, not only social, but also affective presence. It is different with the social presence. Later, I will tell you what is the difference. And then after it, we have teaching presence still. And one more is technology presence. Why technology is important? Because it is the media for the online learning, that one. And the integrations of the technology should be thought carefully. Therefore, they are four main aspects or main elements in the online learning model for speaking that I proposed. And CATTy model, having like some small like inner components. We have context, we have content, we have activity, and technology itself. So by integrating the affective and then the cognitive, the teaching presence, and technology presence, actually, when we are building the content, when we are designing the activity, technology, we need to think about the context of the ESP-ness and then the affective. Like what I said before, that the affective is not only social presence, but here we have also interactivity, social presence and interactivity. What are actually social presence and interactivity? Yes, in this model, we called social presence and interactivity as part of the core of this CATTy model. It is called affective since it is highlighting the emotional, psychological, and motivational aspects, not only the cognitive one, but cognitive is still important. So it is essential because in online learning, on online education, we need to have the human revert to the learner's needs, toward the communications in a social environments. It is one aspect that is missing in the online learning. Therefore, the highlight of the affective presence is that how we can presence as a human inside of the online course. So the social presence refers to the learner's ability to feel that we are interacting not only with the technology, but also the real people, and also the content and the technology as the medium. And it is also foster community collaboration, not only an individual learning, self-learning, but also how they can engage and collaborate each other. It is also touch the emotional connection with the peers, with the educator, and those are the crucial online environments that we should put in today's online learning model. The second, this affective presence is also focuses on how to create it emotional bonding. It can, of course, helping the student to be more motivated. It is minimize the rates of dropout. If you have kind of online learning, of course, we also handle the problems related to dropout student. But if you have like a social presence, interactivity, it is proof that we can, minimize the dropout rates. And the third, it is also related to psychological engagement, in which by addressing the learner interest, the needs, and then boosting their commitments, motivation, their learning environments will be more cheerful because they also interact with the peers and so on. So it is related to the affective context as the important parts. After it, when you create the cognitive, means like the content and then the activity, we can rely on the inner intersection here. We call it as SEEK. What is SEEK? I will just later on tell about it after this slide. But then once again, technology as the medium is also important. Since previous core, is related to the social presence and interactivity. So in technology, we need to also insert the technology that is appropriate to help us in interacting. It is not only using the LMS, whatever the LMS you will have, it's okay. But previously I used Microsoft Teams, and then one other social media or kind of social platforms to interact. In this part, I used like a WhatsApp group at that time. So Microsoft Teams combined with the WhatsApp group. But it's up to you later if you want to create your own online learning. It is better to have those two, the LMS and the social media platforms to help the, once again, social presence and interactivity. Then I will move to the SEEK. What is SEEK? SEEK online course will be discussed over here. So that is actually the speaking stages. SEEK, we call it as previously, sorry, wait, 6, we call it, once again, oh yeah, well, this 6 is actually related to the knowledge implementation, engagement, exploration, and also stimulation. So in the first, stimulation, stimulation is actually how you can have kind of triggering events, triggering materials, triggering sessions. Sorry, is my sound is clear? I think I hear an echo. It's fine, yeah, okay, I'll continue. So triggering session or triggering event is stimulation. And then after it, we go to the next stage, engagement, in which you have like exchanging information and ideas, not only with the lecturer, but also with the peers, with the group as the collaborative activities. And then exploration is in the stage when the students are synthesizing their information, from the exchanging information with the friends. They synthesize the information to develop their own skills. And the last is knowledge implementation, stimulation, exploration, engagement. Sorry, it is from the first one, stimulation, exploration, engagement. And then knowledge implementation is actually the way to them to implement their practices, means like their information, implement, or they create the new information, knowledge implementation. So SEEK, stimulation, exploration, engagement, and also knowledge implementations is actually step-by-step stages in which we can help the student to be aware and develop their speaking skills easily. Okay. My previous model is actually having a lot of stages, actually, from the preliminary phases and then prototyping phases until the assessment phases. In the preliminary, I take a lot of time to finding the context, the needs of the students, since they are in the ESP context. They are coming from different background, faculty. Later I will show you in the data collection. And then after getting the context analysis from the university, and then doing literature review, doing needs analysis, designing the principle, like what I previously mentioned, the progress of the design. I prototype or make the prototype of the model, the session, the speaking online course, do the implementation twice, and after it, reflect and finalize it into the final CATTy model. And this using qualitative data analysis. My methods is, once again, I take quite many students for the context analysis to understand their problems and backgrounds at that time in the 10 ESP classes. And then doing needs analysis in, yeah, we have 16 students, 8 lecturers and 2 experts to gain, yeah, not only information from the students, but also from the lecturers. Doing the pilot study in a small class at that time, online class. And then after it, in the second, it will be like a greeter class with 1 co-observer and 1 collaborator. So I need them to check and also to give like a feedback about my design and also how I implement the design together with the collaborator. The collaborator itself, not only the Indonesians, but also I include native speakers, since they need to have like a real examples, real person that have like a authentic role. So I include also the native speaker inside of my program. The findings from the context needs analysis, pilot study, and also implementation show that from the problems that they face in the oral survey and observation, they get like a lot of problems in the not only linguistic and also once again non-linguistic aspects. We can see that the program that I have just created actually can improve their speaking, since from the pilot study to the implementation, the pre and the post tasks show like a betterment. So for example, if the pre, some of the students are in the need improvement stages, and then in the post, there is no students that is in the pre or need improvement stages. They are having like a higher level, go to the satisfactory until excellent. Okay, and this one is the what we called the implementation progress. When the students take the pilot study and implementation, there is a betterment. So once again, we are implementing 4 activities from stimulation, exploration, engagement, and knowledge implementation with self-learning, with video conference, with the instructor and also the native speakers, and using the interactive VDL, using collaborative activities in which they have peer and group activities. They can get individual feedback and also class feedbacks. We have also forum inside of the online course, and it found that the piloting and the implementation model, or speaking courses that is developed so far, the students say that the learning experience has very impressive, rather than just it is kind of a recommendation, having like a recommendation to replace the existing program, because the existing program in the university is just one way interaction course. They just have like a self-learning, and they don't have kind of interaction with the lecturer or even with the friends. So they feel like this program is beneficial, especially to improve the speaking. Okay, so this is the conclusion. At the end, I propose this ESP speaking MOOC model, or ESP speaking online course model, as the effective model to facilitate the students in the learning activities, especially in the speaking, with 4 elements, once again: the affective, the cognitive, the teaching presence, and also the technology presence. So if you want to create your own online model later, I think it is also good if you can thought, the 4 aspects to be included in your online course. So that is that from me. Thank you. I'll give the time back to the moderator. Yes.
Thank you, Ibu Kiky Soraya, for your insightful presentation. Now let's welcome our speaker. We will keep the question and answer later, yeah, discussion after the second presenter. Now, let's invite our second speaker, Bapak Ikhwan Fadqur Rohqim, M.Pd. Bapak Ikhwan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Herida. It was a very interesting and very informative presentation from Dr. Kiky. It was really very interesting topic as well on ESP. Good morning, Bapak Ibu, and it's still early morning here. It's 4 o'clock in Budapest. Am I audible? Because I need to double check my speaker.
Yes, Bapak is very audible.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, my name is Ikhwan Fadqur Rohqim, but my colleagues call me Fadqur. Currently live in Budapest. I'm a student and a PhD student in a Pázmány Péter Catholic University in Budapest. And currently also officially still work as a university teacher in STIKES Widyagama Husada in Malang. I'm gonna share my screen, but first of all, I'm going to use Mentimeter. So if Bapak Ibu would like to join, you can go to menti.com and I will put the code there. There was 36360063. I type the code in the chat box. Okay, I'm going to share the presentation. Okay, can you see the sharing screen, Bapak Ibu?
Yes, Bapak.
Yeah. Okay. So actually here that you can go to menti.com and then kind of type the code, and you can also see the presentation in menti.com because there's kind of more like interactive one that you can do the interactive activities later on. Before I continue here, so maybe you can also see on the presentation that you can go to menti.com and use the code 36360063. As I've mentioned, I'm an ESP teacher in Indonesia, and being an ESP teacher, I think is really challenging somehow. And being an ESP teacher also leaves me with questions like, who am I as a teacher? And for example, like looking at the ESP context, ESP as English as specific purposes, teaching English in a non-English department. For me, I teach English for nursing, English for midwifery, and I do believe Bapak Ibu also have been teaching English for specific purposes in different departments. You have been teaching in several departments, from law, maybe law department, engineering, English, business, many different fields. That's again leave me questions like, am I a qualified ESP teacher? Before coming to that kind of questions, first of all, I would like to share, maybe if Bapak Ibu go to menti.com and then input or type the code, you can see this slide. And would you please like kind of like a tag? Where do you live or work or teach? If I'm not mistaken, there are, I don't know how many participants so far. Would you like to go to menti.com and then just put a tag the place that to show where you are from? Oh, does it have two from Central Java? Oh, that's really interesting. Some of them are from Borneo. And this first activity is just to show that we are from all over Indonesia. And if you look at the map, Indonesia is pretty like geographically, it's huge. Lately, I think a couple of weeks ago, I presented in a conference here in Hungary, and I showed them Indonesian map, and I told them that from Aceh to Papua, that it was even further than from London to Istanbul. It's just to show that we're geographically huge. And then I will mention also the number of higher education institutions in Indonesia. There are thousands. And then it means that as an ESP teachers, we are all over Indonesia. We teach a different kind of English or specific purposes. And that makes us very unique English teacher. Okay, so thank you for participating in the first activity. Look at this one of them from Banda Aceh, and we have Jakarta, several of us from Central Java, Borneo. Okay, and it keeps coming. But then again, this is just to show again how diverse is the ESP teaching in Indonesia, and also how diverse as ESP teachers themselves. So believe it or not, then some of us teaching in Borneo actually might also have challenges in teaching ESP, and we might face the same problems, but maybe also particularly different due to the geographical aspects. Next, thank you for the participations, and then I'll show next. So who am I? I am if someone asks me, what do you do? And I'll just say teacher. But then what do you teach? English. And then I was coming up because I used to be a kindergarten teacher as well here in Hungary. I've been working for almost 2 years in Hungary as a kindergarten teacher. I love teaching English to kids. That happened that my undergraduate and master thesis is about English for young learners. So I kind of identify myself as an English teacher teaching kids. But then also, I also teach primary schools here now. And I've been teaching for almost like a 1.5 year, teaching primary students and being a class teacher. But then it's still English for young learners. But it's actually, I'm an ESP teacher. So it's a bit confusing, I know. And maybe some of us also kind of having this dialogue. What kind of teacher are we? But then looking at, I also have the experience of teaching secondary school students. And officially, I'm a PhD student. It means like I'm an ESP teacher in Indonesia. So having those different roles give me questions like, what kind of English teacher I am? And also, am I a qualified ESP teacher? By having those questions, and looking at the problems that I have, then somehow I have problems in defining myself. Am I an S.Pd teacher or just English teacher, general English teacher, or just English teacher, or maybe none of them, or I have no idea. So could you please maybe join menti.com again, and then just let's see, how do you see yourself? How do you define yourself? I know that you join an ESP teacher community, that you have been teaching ESP for years, but how do you actually define yourself? Honestly, if someone asks you and you can tell them honestly, deep down your heart, how do you define yourself? Although we know that everyone here is teaching ESP, but how do you define yourself? Looking at that, the options here, and if you can also see the live result, see that some of you define yourself an ESP teacher for sure. That's clear enough. But some of you also define just English teacher. You don't want to kind of categorize yourself into only ESP or general English teacher. So there are more and more coming. It's just to show that these questions is relevant. Hopefully, maybe to everyone, at least those who join this webinar. That the question of what kind of teacher we are is also one of the questions. That, believe it or not, it will give a direct or indirect effect on how we teach our students in the classroom. The decisions that we do in the classroom, one of them are affected by how we see ourselves as an English teacher. So if we look at the answers here, that everyone is participating, but at least no one that I have no idea who I am, or none of them. So at least you see that you are English teacher or GE teacher or ESP teacher. Defining yourself, then you see that we are teachers, both English teachers, ESP teachers, or GE teachers. We do have problems. And what do you think are the common problems in teaching and learning ESP in Indonesian higher education setting? Looking at your own classrooms, asking yourself, what do you think are the common problems in teaching and learning ESP in Indonesian higher education setting? Would you please just go to menti.com again, or if you are still there, that's perfect. Oh, the curriculum, let's see, is coming up more and more. Would you please, if you haven't joined menti.com, go to menti.com and then use the code 36360063, and then please answer the questions of what do you think are the common problems in teaching and learning ESP in Indonesian higher education setting. We have the curriculum, authentic materials, defined support. Is it a finance related to financial support? I think. Hopefully, I got that right. And then gap of proficiency, students' motivations, big class size. That's true. Classroom management. Need analysis, designing materials, the students' interest. There are more and more coming, and we can see that if Bapak Ibu look at the answers here, I do believe we are like most of us here are dealing with the same problems. For example, like students' motivation. I do believe we do all dealing with that problem, the students' motivation, and also maybe dealing with the big class size or the classroom management. There are more and more coming, and no worries because the menti.com is open until for 14 days, I think. So you still continue participating in here, and there are 13 participants already answered the questions. Looking at that common problems, then what do we usually do? For looking at my own teaching experience, when we have problems, then we're looking for solutions. But then I would love to get someone's, although it's not a question and answer, but would you please, maybe anyone voluntarily, looking at those problems so far, what have you been doing to get the solution? What do you usually do to get the solution? Anyone, would you mind just open your mic and just voluntarily give an answer? It's not a question and answer, no, just want to know, or maybe you can type it in your chat box. Anyone, feel free. Maybe you can just unmute yourself and give one response on what do you usually do to get the solutions, and or what do you usually do to manage the problem or to handle the problem. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm not going to do the question and answer because it says that there will be a specific session. But looking at the problems, could you please just maybe type something or unmute yourself? Like, what do you usually do to handle the problems? Anyone would like to maybe voluntarily type in a chat box, or you can unmute yourself and just one volunteer. Like, I just want to know, like, what do you usually do? Okay, let's see. We'll take my use engaging activities like role plays, case studies, or project. Okay, I take that as an answer. Thank you very much, to Ms. Rita. But then that was using the activities. Okay, but come up with the activities or come up with the solutions. It takes something to get there. What I mean is, to get the solution, we do need to do something first. I do believe that as in an academic setting, we sometimes want to have solutions, but we need to do something first. Here is the insights from a previous ESP research that ESP teaching in Indonesian higher education settings does face problems or obstacles. And having those problems, then I was just giving maybe kind of proposed a way to handle that, which is getting a solution. But how to get the solution is maybe first we need to reflect. I do believe everyone does the reflection, because finish teaching, then we'll think about what we did, and it kind of maybe informally, unofficially, like asked ourselves what I did and why did I do that. So, but here is more on officially talking about reflective teaching. If you happen to know about reflective teaching, if maybe you have encountered reflective teaching previously, or maybe it is something new for you, that reflective teaching is a process where teachers reflect on their own teaching practices and learn from their own experiences. So the keywords are reflect on our own teaching practices and then learn from them, learn from our experiences. How to do reflective teaching? Here, there are some reflective cycle models. I'm afraid that we don't have enough time to discuss each of them, but if you go to those two links, then you will see that there are different kind of reflective models. But here for today, I will focus on one reflective cycle, which is Gibbs reflective cycles. Gibbs reflective cycles developed by Graham Gibbs in 1988 to give structure to learning from experiences. So it gives the structure. It gives kind of the model how to do the reflection. It offers a framework for examining experiences, and given its cyclic nature, lends itself particularly well to repeated experiences. So it's cyclic, so it's kind of circling. So if you, again, after this, if you look at the cycle, we can see that it has the start, but it's ended there as well. And there are 6 stages. If we look at the cycle, then officially the model starts from the description. What I mean by description here, or what Gibbs mentioned here, is we reflect on what happened. We reflect on what happened in the classroom. We reflect on what happened during the classroom, or maybe what happened to ourselves. Starting from what happened, it means we describe what happened, and then after that, continue to what feelings that we had at that time when that happened. So we talked about our reactions and feelings. The next is evaluation, which is asking more about what was good and what was bad about what happened. And then continue to analyze to find out what makes sense of the situation. We knew something happened and it was bad, but then what made that happen? And then from that, by knowing that, then we go to conclusions, which is what have we learned from that incident or what's happened. And then from that conclusion, then we do the action plan, which is asking, what are we going to do differently if the same thing happen in the future? Here, maybe I'll give a very, maybe a kind of a short, clear example. At that time, we did a kind of a workshop with the teachers. And one of the teachers mentioned about the classroom situation. The person mentioned that some of the students, or some of the students usually come late to the classroom. And then the teacher asked about what happened, and then the student said that, I'm sorry, I woke up late. But then at that time, here is what happened is the students come to the class, or they come late to the class. And the feeling of the teacher saying that the teacher said that I felt sad that they don't really put or think that English is important. That's why they come late. And then they're starting realizing that how the teacher felt when the students coming late. Then they evaluate what was good and what was bad, and then analyze that and making conclusion. And then that was like very clear that when evaluate what was good and what was bad, mostly that is something bad came up to our reflection. But actually reflection is not always supposed to be something bad happened that we need to reflect, but we can also reflect on something good happen in our class. So looking at this cycle then will give us the kind of concept or conceptual cycle to help us to reflect. And we'll go here, maybe I just want one of two, let's see, let's try to use the cycles, like what happened, just maybe find something that recently happened in your classroom, or type something that happened, and then for you think that it's something very important, or something you have been giving a thought so far about what happened in the classroom. What happened? How did you feel? And what was good or bad about that things? Why did things go well or badly? And what we have learned, or what you have learned, and what will you do? This question, I will leave it there. Anyone, would you please can go to menti.com again and go use the code 36360063. We'll get some responses later, and I will come back to show it to you. One quote that I love so much is that we do not learn from experience. It means like it's not like automatically we'll learn something once we did it, but we will learn from reflecting on experience. So we will only learn from our experience if we reflect on it. So it doesn't guarantee that we will learn something automatically once we did it, unless we reflect on it. And what I suggested, like it's just proposal that maybe we can reflect better if we use particular model in reflection, which is maybe just one of the model that we can use is this Gibbs reflective cycle. And I will continue about the example, which is the teacher felt sad or feeling uneasy when the students coming late, because she thought that the students don't really think English is important. And then the conclusion is that maybe they or she needs to help the students to wake up earlier. And then that is coming up with a plan to kind of having the regular or daily habit for helping the students to set daily habit to wake up earlier. But if you look at the example, that action maybe is not needed if we look at the problem that maybe students coming late to the classroom is not because they don't have good habit of working or of getting up early in the morning, but maybe because they don't really know what they have to do, because maybe there are no clear rules in the classroom about the late policy. Maybe because they don't know that what are the consequences of coming late. So looking at what happened and how we've felt, we need to really find out what are the real problems. And having this cycle hopefully will help us to kind of more academically reflect on what we had. And here I have one response. Thank you very much for the response. I felt that not many students were successful in learning. Perhaps they struggled too hard with the materials. Adjusting materials to suit students' various proficiencies is needed, essential. That's true. But then what did you feel? How did you feel? Like, did you feel guilty? Sometimes we feel guilty when something happened in the classroom. When students didn't perform well, then sometimes as a teacher we start feeling guilty. But then actually we need to know that what happened. And that's good that maybe we need to adjust the material. But then how to adjust? And then maybe we need to start asking students or doing the better need assessments on the analysis. And then that's adjusting the material. Okay, I felt guilty when they were not successful. That's true. That's what we need to start with by feeling guilty. Why do we feel guilty? Or maybe because we know that actually we have something clear thing that the outcome. So maybe that's what we need to start. We feel guilty because the students cannot reach or they cannot get what the outcomes that we set. So maybe we can start with like kind of changing the outcome that we have set. Maybe that's too hard for them. It's too difficult for them to achieve the outcome. So maybe we start with changing the learning objectives. So again, by looking at this cycle, then will give us chances to reflect in a kind of more systematically, that even when we start feeling guilty, then why? Oh, maybe because we set something too high for them, and once they couldn't do it, then we start feeling guilty. Or we did start with a good learning objectives, but maybe we gave them a different activities that finally they couldn't achieve the outcome, is because they did something different as what we assessed them. So again, it's really good starting with this. And then that's the response that I felt guilty because mostly the level of my students are low. They do not even understand basic English, but I have to deliver ESE materials. That is really classic problems with the SB classes, that they have had like kind of heterogeneous English levels. I push them, but to motivate them, I give them extra score. Okay, so this really good examples that some students only participate in CR activity just with lecturers monitor, I was disappointed. It's bad. Maybe they need extrinsic motivation. So I'll just go around to monitor and ask them to submit. Okay. So again, it's really good to see the responses. And then from this quote, previously, I did a kind of a project. It was kind of like a volunteer project with some of the teachers here. If Bapak Ibu, you can see that previously I did have a community, and we have a book published about the teacher's voice, which is using the Gibbs reflective cycle. Based on the Gibbs reflective cycles, some of the English teachers in a vocational high school, we used the cycles to reflect on our classes, and the teachers wrote something about it, and we published it. And here there's one piece of puzzle, which means like they are part of ESP teachers in Indonesia. And I hope that by using these reflective cycles will help us to understand the ESP teaching in Indonesian higher education better. There's always a place, there's always room for improvement to understand ESP teaching in higher education setting. Using the reflective teaching is only one way to help us to develop ourselves. It's only one way to do that. I mean, like, this is only one options from hundreds of options to develop ourselves. So what I wanted to say is this gives reflective cycles is one thing that you can try to use to help you to reflect on your or on our teaching experiences more systematically, hopefully by using systematic cycles, then we'll come up with better solution. And hopefully not only reflecting on them, but also writing the result of our reflections and maybe publish it, or maybe together we publish it as a book maybe, so that the other English teachers in Indonesia can read our reflections and learn from them. That is one the take-away message that I would like to deliver to everyone, that by reflecting on our teaching and write the reflection and maybe publish it together is helping us, helping everyone's ESP teachers in Indonesia to better understand ourselves as ESP teachers. So again, there's always really expected for everyone here to reflect and write and report or publish, so we can add the puzzle or adding more informations to better understand ESP teachers. So maybe later on when someone asks us, what do you teach? Oh, I teach ESP. So you are an ESP teacher. I am an ESP teacher. And maybe we can see that we are proudly say that we are in ESP teachers and we do understand who we are. I think that's all from me. And again, thank you very much for the time. And I would like to back to Pak Herida. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Fadqur, for your presentation. Now, thanks for both of our speakers actually for their presentation. And now we'll move to the question and answer session. We have three participants for the questions, or three questions. Please, Bapak Ibu, you can raise your hand so that feel free to ask questions, Bapak Ibu. You can we'll have the question and answer session until 11:05 or 11:10. It's okay. That's the rundown. Please, Bapak Ibu, you can raise your hand in this Zoom. We will be waiting for the questions. Ibu Lulu, please.
Okay, thank you, Mas Herida. Well, it was a great presentations both from Mas Rohqim and also Mbak Kiky Soraya. Yeah, I'm interested in the materials that you just shared with us. particularly to Mbak Kiky. What kind of challenges did you encounter when you applied or when you piloted the model of your speaking your speaking model to the students? That's my question for the time being. Thank you.
Well, okay, thank you, Bu Lulu. What is the challenges in it's piloting, ya, Bu, ya, in piloting the program, that one, or the model. Of course, in the first pilot study, we see a lot of things, yeah, to be covered, from the materials, of course, and then from the way in teaching, and then from the technology that is used. So in my piloting, I found that the materials in the first, at the beginning of the design is what we call like too many, and it should be covered in a short time. So the adjustment after that is that make the materials simpler with the time allocations, and then beside the materials, the activities, the activities at the beginning, the activities is having kind of a lot of group, group activities. So at the early design, it is also challenging since they need also the self learning, not only the group. You could not to be like too much in making the collaboration. So we need to think about how to manage the self learning in a good proportion, the peer in a good proportion, and also the group in a good proportion. So that is my challenge at the beginning of implementing the model. And then the technology itself, I think previously at the beginning of the model, the technology is using Microsoft Teams and also some of the additional technology, like for example Mentimeters and others. So the challenge is that how to introduce the technology, or how to make our students are ready to the technology are important. I mean, it's like it's our importance means before the training or before the course, that one, it's better to have a specific sessions about how to introduce the technology that you will use in the online learning, that one. So those are at least three, the highlight of the problems or obstacle in the piloting, and then it is solved in the implementation thing. That is that, Ibu Lulu. Thank you. Is there any other questions or any additional questions, Ibu?
Yes, that's enough, Mbak Kiky.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and now let's move to the second questions, and we also have Bapak Sigit Pastor. But first, we will go to the questions in the chat box. Is it for Bapak Fadqur? Is it more appropriate to use word educate than teach when it comes to the reflection of learning? Please elaborate your reasoning for your choice. Bapak Fadqur?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pade. It's really interesting questions. And then as a teacher, we do believe that in a classroom, our role is not only teaching them English language, but it's more complex. It's much more complex than that. But again, if the question is about the use of the word choice of educate. Somehow, I might, in my opinion, the word educate is somehow pretty huge and abstract concept, and looking at what we do in the classroom, I think the word teach is still relevant. And that's all because when we talk about teaching, we start with the learning objectives. So educate is somehow too broad that maybe it's hard to set the learning objective from the word educate. But again, here, the word teach here is because we would like to help them to learn. That's why we use the word teach, reflect, and learn. But again, in my opinion, when we do the reflection, the word teach is still relevant is because we start from the learning objective and then we need to achieve that objective by teaching them the activities or the materials needed and assess them appropriately so that the students can achieve the learning objectives. So again, it's only from my point of view that the word teach is still relevant in this case, although the word educate is also really, really good and a big word. But the last thing, I'm sorry, Herida, but I think previously there are some participants asking question. Maybe that was just come up when they had the interactive session about GE and English teacher. That will be like always a kind of discussion. And then what is the difference between a GE teacher or just ESP teacher or just English teacher, or not, so sorry, not using the word just, but what I put in the option there, why I put a GE teacher, ESP teacher, and English teacher is because sometimes we put ourselves in a group, whether it's teaching GE or teaching ESP or teaching English or whatever groups we have. So that was kind of, tricky classification, but I think we do all know what it means. Thank you, Pa.
All right. Thank you for your answer, Bapak Fadqur. And now we have three more participants, so three more questions. That is okay. We will limit to this three questions, right? Now let's start from Bapak Sigit Prasetyo, please. Questions.
Okay, selamat pagi, good morning, Bapak Ibu. I am Sigit Prasetyo from Akademi Pariwisata Yogyakarta. I have two questions for Bu Kiky and Pak Fadqur. So the first one is, there is a method called error-friendly environment. So the question is that, can that method, error-friendly environment, enhance the CATTy models that you just explained to us? Error-friendly environment, somehow it just, like appreciating what the student do in the classroom without any judgment. So I think it's a good one. Is it possible if we adopt it or embed it in your CATTy models that you just explained? The second question is for Pak Fadqur. I do really agree with that terms of reflection. I am a facilitator for Curriculum Merdeka, and reflection is one of the best things that we have to. But the question is that sometimes we deal with the student who struggle in English. So what is the best practice of reflection that we can do in this kind of situation? I mean, dealing with the student who still struggling with English. Thank you.
Yeah, please, Bapak and Ibu, you can answer the question from Bapak Sigit.
Is it me first or Pak Fadqur? Which one?
Yeah, Bu Kiky, you can go first. Ladies first.
Oh, ladies first. Okay, Bapak. Well, thank you. It's a nice question. It's a great, theory too, about error-friendly environments. I think it is kind of a space when the student can make mistake, in part of their learning, and it is natural. So I do agree that this is a good principle that should be considered as a teacher, in which we should give also what we call a motivation and encouragement to the student that making mistake is okay. And it is fine as well as you will try and you can reflect. Once again, maybe it's related to the Pak Fadqur explanation. If Pak Fadqur said about reflective teaching, in CATTy, we can also implement reflective learning. So they can reflect from what they have learned with the peers. They can make mistake there. Then they can get like a feedback, not only from the teacher, they can get feedback from the friends. And it is fine to make mistake at the beginning because they need to grow. And mistake is not always mistake. That is what I believe, Bapak. And of course, that is a good principle to be implemented in the CATTy model. Is it answering, Bapak?
Okay, thank you. But then, sorry, is it easy just to apply that kind of method in your CATTy models?
I do that. So the students sometimes feel like a shy. I don't want to talk because I feel like I think I will make this one if I just say that in front of the people, for example. They mention that kind of things. Then in the self-reflection, I also have like a self-reflections individually, Bapak, when they have like a chat with me, or they can actually reach me individually in the one-on-one meeting. So they can tell me what is their problem. For example, they have that kind of problems, then I will say, no problem to make mistakes. If you do not try, then how can you improve your speaking? How can you improve your English? That is that, Bapak. So it is possible, as well as the teacher is also having that kind of principle too.
Okay,
Okay,
so
Bapak.
okay, so it can be applied in both general English and also ESP, right? Okay.
Yes. In every learning, I think so, Bapak.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, Fadqur, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pak Sigit, for the question. It's really also interesting question. Is we know that that's one of the problem in ESP teaching, especially or in general teaching of English teaching, is about the students' performance, which is maybe they're not performing as with what is supposed to asked, or they didn't perform well. Then if that's related to technical things about the material and teaching materials. But again, I think if looking at how we reflect, you have mentioned about best practices. And I have seen that some teachers actually also have shared their best practices. But again, when looking at someone's best practices, we as the other teachers need to realize that what they have to do is they have to start looking at the problems. We might have the same problems, but then looking at someone's best practices, we need to learn how does that solution work. Not only just take it for granted whatever solutions proposed and then apply that to our classroom, but we teachers need to learn looking at the problems and looking at how the solution works. Looking at how the solution works means need to understand the problem and the solution, and then kind of synthesizing it, and then creating something kind of decision that whether they need or they can just adopt the solution or adapt it, or just inspired by that solution and create something else as a solution. So by having this systematic reflection, I think it's good that teachers share their best practices, but then in sharing, they tell the others how that solution works, so the other can learn and can adapt the solution by looking at their own problems in the classroom. But again, I really expect that everyone write their reflection, both maybe related to technical problems in the classroom or classroom managements or other things, but also published or make it available online that everyone can read and learn from that. So I do agree that every teachers need to reflect, but they also need to share their reflection so others can learn from their reflection. Thank you, Pak.
So it means there should be modification, adjustment, something like that, Pak Fadqur, yes.
Yes, I do believe because everyone has their own problem, although exactly the same problem, but then we need to look at what is happening in the classroom because we do have different students.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bu Kiky and Pak Fadqur. It's a good answer. Thank you.
All right, now let's move to the next questions. It's from Ibu Norita and Bu Ikaya. But let's first from Ibu Norita. Please, Bu Norita.
Okay, thank you Bapak Ibu for the opportunity. Yep, I am Norita. I'm from Institut Teknologi Widyagama, Surabaya. Actually, in ITATS is one of engineering institution in Surabaya. Actually, since a year ago, I have just teaching in ESP, especially in mining engineering. But since for 10 years, I just teach about general English. But I just told that like this. When I teach in ESP class, there are many students are from different different year. Several students are from second semester and others from fourth and sixth semester. And then their communication are so different when they are in the class. Their knowledge also different. And also in the fourth and the sixth semester are having more knowledge about mining itself. And then how can I solve it? That's the first one. And the second one is when I teach in ESP class like this, is that important to teach them how far the important to teach the students about structure, because our goal, in the end of our goal, are twofold. It's like that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please, Bapak Ibu, you can start. You can answer the questions.
Okay, will be the first. Is it you, Bapak?
Yeah,
After
maybe
you.
Bapak.
Okay. I guess like it's kind of sharing, yeah, Ibu, with our own experience then. Means your previous experience, you have like a different level, yeah. Firstly, you have like a different level of student. I ever got that kind of situation, but it is not too varied. Means like only some, like 2 or 3 of them are having like a different level, like semester 8 or 7, that they commonly come as a repeater. But mostly my students are in the almost same level, like semester 2 or semester 3 at that time. So if you ask about how we can handle this kind of students or this kind of variation, I suggest that we also have in my teaching, yeah, I commonly have like screening at the beginning of my class, so I can see how many different level that I have, how varied my student, and I will implement a bit different what we call treatment to them that is commonly as come as a repeater in my class, because the different level is commonly as a repeater, they repeat the class. Not a different treatment in general, but we can take like special treatment when there is something happen in the class, means like something that is not working with them. But if what I tried in the class is actually working with the whole variations of the students, with the materials that is designed to the varied classes, the varied participants, and also the techniques that is also cope many self-learnings, self learning, yeah, self-learning of the student. When we maintain that kind of things, and there is no problem, it means no problem with the variations of the level. But if there is problem, sometimes I need to talk with them individually. So in the end of this session, it's okay to just talk with some of the students that having like a problem, or it is our program is not working to them. We can just have like a dialogue, what we need to improve in our teaching or in our materials, so they can also come with the same level with the others. That is my experience, because yeah, that is the condition of my university. And then the second, it's about sorry, it's about
Is
second-
about the structure.
the
The
structure.
structure. How
yeah, whether
important
you
how
need to have
important we learn
structure.
structure to the students. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's important. But in my campus or in my university, the structure is given as the foundational course before going to the ESP program. It's important, especially for them that is having the TOEFL score lower than 500. Lower than 500, they will get a foundational course, what we call as a structure course, or a kind of they have like a structure, and that is at the beginning, at the beginning of the semester, before joining the real semesters of the university. Commonly it is at the beginning, because they come in the first or second semester, then they can take it in the what we call freshman program, the freshman program. Yeah, they get it there. So I think structure is important. Although, yeah, once again, the portion should be fits with the needs of the students. Once again, we need to measure first whether our students need that or not. Maybe from the proficiency test, we can notice how many students need it and how many students are maybe well with the structure. That is that. Ibu, is it answering?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, yeah, I would just like to highlight something like maybe I think Kiky has mentioned pretty clear examples, but I would like to start from the situation that you said that you have pretty heterogeneous students. I mean, with the levels of their content knowledge and maybe also their English skills. I mean, like you have mentioned, Bruno and I have mentioned that maybe they're from different semester. It means like they have mastered, they have understood their content knowledge differently. But then again, that is, I think, the typical of ESP classes worldwide. Like we cannot expect ESP students in our class having homogeneous English levels. Mostly that is I think that's the ideal one, but mostly the ESP classes have really heterogeneous English level of students. And also knowing at that one, as Kiky has mentioned, I think it's really good to start with the need assessment. Maybe it sounds cliche, but again, that is the characteristic of ESP teaching, that we have to always start from the need and assessment. Although we have been teaching this department for years, but every year there are different students, different kind of levels, different content knowledge levels. So start with need assessments. It means studying who they are, what semester, for example, and what English level they have or they are, and what they need as students. Maybe because I have heard that some of you teaching ESP as in a faculty course, which means the ESP classes, they have different students from different departments. They are engineering, but they're different. Like maybe that was also challenging. So by starting with need assessment, with a clear need assessment, then we will see who they are and what they need. Then we start with really setting the objectives. I know that officially having higher or better TOEFL score, it looks like the objective, but actually, I don't think so. The objective is supposed to be the learning objective, what they can do. Supposed to be the can-do list. They can use the language in spoken, for example, with the particular topics. They can write something, or maybe they can write a paragraph related to particular topics. That's kind of learning objectives. So hopefully by looking at this, that you set clear objective, both general objectives that's given by department or the specific objectives only for that class, then we can start having a better picture of what we have to do in the classroom with them to achieve the objective. Hopefully, by having these activities, by having or achieving the learning objective that we have, by the end of the study, they will have better TOEFL score. And then the second question is about teaching structure. That's looking at what I've been doing in my institution, that we do like what Kiky has, which is we have kind of a general English classes. We call it Bahasa Inggris 1, 2, and 3. So they take 3 classes of English, general English classes for their basic English classes. So there we will learn structure, reading, speaking, in general knowledge. But then after that, they will have the ASP classes. But I know this is not always that way. But we need to see that structure is supposed to be taught integratedly. It's not supposed to be in discrete. So there's to be integrative teaching and learning about the structure. So when they learn about writing an email for a marketing, for example, then they learn that while writing. So how they write that, for example, report. So all those, that's why they use simple passive, because this was report. So something that's one. So I do believe we still need to teach structure, but the highlight thing is we need to teach structure integratively, not in discrete, like only doing the grammar exercises. I hope that answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Ibu.
All right. Okay, because the time is up, yeah. Bu Ika, I'm sorry. I think the time is we already 5 minutes late for the question and answer session. I don't think we can continue with more question and answer session. And let's give applause, yeah, for our 2 presenters. And that will be the conclusion of our sessions today. And on behalf of everyone, I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Kiky Soraya and Bapak Ikhwan Fadqur Rohqim M.Pd for sharing their experience and perspectives. And thank you for attending and participating in the discussion. We hope to see you again in our future sharing session. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll give the time back to the MC.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pak Herida, for skillfully moderating today's session. And to our amazing speakers, Ibu Kiky and Pak Ikhwan, for sharing your valuable insight and expertise. A big thank you as well to all participants for your active engagement and enthusiasm. Before we officially close, we have a few final announcements from the committee. But let me kindly remind all the participants to fill out the attendance link provided in the chat box to ensure your e-certificate is issued. Your feedback and attendance are very important to us. Now, I would like to invite a representative from the committee to share the announcement. Please welcome the committee. The floor is yours. Oh, Mbak Yayan. Okay.
Thank you for the time given to me. On behalf of the board, we would like to announce that today, as a token of appreciation, this sharing session 14, we would like to grant two winners of the prizes. And the winners are Ibu Melvina and Ibu Norita. Congratulations for both of you. And for further details, we would like to deliver to each winner will be by the board. And for the second announcement, we would like to announce the opening of the ASP Teachers Community Membership for this batch 5 on February 2025. And that will be open from today now on and until 24th of January 2025. For further information, kindly check the WhatsApp group regularly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Yayan. Thank you for the announcements. And then, once again, let's ensure we have completed the attendance form to claim our AE certificates. Then, on behalf of the organizing team, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone involved in making today's event a success. Let's continue to support each other in growing as educators. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay inspired, and keep learning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu. And
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mbak Isti, Mas Ikhwan, Mbak Kiky,
Terima kasih Bu,
Ikhwan.
thank you
Terima kasih
dulu
banyak semuanya.
Mbak Yeni,
Semuanya.
Mbak Isti,
Thank you, Bapak Ibu. See you
Pak Herida, Bu
See you
Kiki.
next
Terima
month.
kasih.
next time. Bye-bye.
Terima
Thank
kasih,
you,
sampai ketemu
Bapak
lagi.
Terima kasih Miss Yayan. I miss you. Let's meet up sometimes.
Thank you.